everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of On the Line. I'm your host, Kris Avalon, and we're going to do things a little differently this evening. So normally, when I do this show, we're always about to go to gags, we're always about entertainment, all the other stuff, like basically just having a little fun, lighthearted, little shade thrown in, but we also bring, it always comes around to a bit of a resolution. But tonight I want to do things a little differently. And so one of the things I've noticed that a lot of people don't be talking about when it comes to things online that I was like, let me just switch it up a bit. So I want to talk a bit about the adult film industry. So a couple of weeks ago, I wrote an article on Tribe. Well, it came across the article via straight up gay porn, but I was like, okay, this is a good article for me to work on as well and do a bit of research. And it was about Geordie Jackson basically coming out against accusations against Michael Lucas and stating that one of the reasons why he quit porn is because he was on a set and he was injected with a mixture of drugs. I believe it was Trimix, which is used for erectile dysfunction, and presumably phenylephrine, which is a decongestant that Lucas uses as an antidote to priapism when he overinjects his models with Trimix. Now, here's the thing. In the porn industry, a lot of models tend to use Trimix. They do. Because that's not here for me to just be spilling everybody in the industry's tea based on those who I know who work in the adult industry who actually uses it. But I do think that it's a conversation to be had about when it comes to adult film stars who have had bad experiences, who have undergone things such as racism, and other different things that goes on in the industry. So I thought this would be the perfect time to bring in a friend of mine who has worked in the adult industry and has experienced a lot of things. And I've read, a lot of articles that he's written in his blog, as well as some of the things he said on social media. And I was like, oh, this is the perfect person to bring in. So what I want to do is before I jump the boom boom gun and get into all that extra stuff, here's the article that's here. We can go on tribe.com to read the whole article. I want to lay things in context. I want to give y'all a taste of the story that I did actually on my YouTube channel where I talked about the Geordie Jackson situation even further. So without further ado, we're going to roll back to this is the article here. Geordie Jackson has been doing porn, and he said he stopped because this is something that's been going on, and it's a known fact, I guess, maybe not to you guys, but for people who are in the industry, Trimix is used for a long time. It helps you maintain an erection. There's a lot of people that I know that do adult films, a lot of your faves on OnlyFans, and a lot of professional porn stars who use Trimix to stay erect, especially when in your real life, you're a big old power bottom, but you have to perpetrate a certain image on camera that you're a top. So in order to get, getting me down there to be erect, a lot of guys tend to use it. So, oh, hey, Edward, how are you? So, he took to Twitter and said about, because I guess someone asked, well, why did you stop? He says, a lot of people asking me about porn and why I don't do it anymore. I've kept quiet about this, but Michael Lucas forces an injection into the dick on his models. This is the reason I quit. He double dosed me with a lethal amount and I almost lost my dick. I'm not the only model either. He says the drug is, the guy is drugged to his eyeballs daily, this injection himself. And we're going to say alleged, because one about Michael Lucas, he loves suing a bitch whenever you try to drag his name through the mud. But honey, we don't need to drag your name through the mud because your name has been dragged through this industry for the past 2 decades. So, bitch, you've been doing your own bullshit on your own accord. So you cannot blame us. And I don't make the news. I just report it. So alleged. Xavier, you're someone who gives a shit. But I'm gonna continue. The guy is drugged up to his eyeballs daily and does this injection himself. He brings you up with a small amount of Trimix and then brings you down with a different drug. He mixes up his bottles when he was high and gave me a lethal amount. This is the same queen that claimed that not Geordie, but Michael, who went around saying that oh, I'm so vehemently against barebacking. Oh, bareback is disgusting, and started condemning people for doing barebacking. But when it became inevitable in this industry of porn stars having to do bare,
Well, that, like I said before, that was a little taste of the story that I did on Geordie Jackson. You can actually go over to my YouTube channel, little Kris Avalon on YouTube. The video was there. Click like, subscribe so y'all can keep getting the alerts on when I put up new episodes. The full story is up there. It's about 17 minutes. So, yeah, it's not like one of our lengthy things. Which is something I wanted to touch on and see if anybody was going to comment on it. But, oh, hey, Edward, who says I'm great, by the way. Just want to say, hey, I see you in the comments. So yeah, so then afterwards, I did tag a friend of mine who has told me, because I didn't know this until I saw a friend of mine by the name of LeNair Xavier who posted that he had endured some same situations and has dealt with Michael Lucas and a lot of shit that was going on with him when he was back when he was doing adult. So we're going to touch on that when we bring him in and we do the full interview. But I just want to give you a bit of that. But also we have another clip, correct, of LeNair's comments, from what I was told. Because I didn't think like when we did when I did the video that I didn't think the post and the comments came up because it came up after we were done with the live stream. So but you do have that, right? Okay, so yeah, we have it. And
was all for bareback porn. So hypocrite much. But anyway, he says, now I'm being threatened to be sued. Ha 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 ha. Lucas Entertainment. Shame on you. Take me to court. Was all for bareback porn. So hypocrite much. But anyway, he says, now I'm being threatened to be sued. Ha 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 ha. Lucas Entertainment. Shame on you. Take me to court all you want, big man. You don't have a medical background at all, but it's compulsory for you to give a prescribed medication into someone's dick. See you on court, big man. And then someone asked, holy fuck, mate, that's terrible. Please tell me you informed authorities. And then Geordie Jackson went and said, who is the authorities? He takes us to countries like Mexico, where we used to be working. The guy uses every loophole in the book. He's a crook. And then Devin Franco jumped in the comments and said, let me know if you need a witness to back you up. So there's a lot of porn stars. So there are a lot of porn stars who are in the industry who basically are saying this is something that's going on. This is something that has been doing for years, but they don't talk about it. I guess because it's taboo and they're worried about that they won't get work anymore. But now that we're in the era of people can just jump on OnlyFans and create their own content, and they don't necessarily need a big conglomerate, a big studio. They don't need to be doing this anymore. One of the things was after I posted the article, there's a porn star friend of mine by the name of LeNair Xavier who sent me the following. Well, he posted it on the late night cruising group thing, but I saw it and I screenshot it, and then he and I had a little talk. He also commented in when I posted it on Twitter as well. And let me pull up the screenshots because I'm going to read to you his thoughts on this situation. So he says, it's about time it's about Michael Lucas came out. I've been telling mine about him for years, and it's fallen on deaf ears. Mine was more his contribution to sexual racism in our community through porn. That's a whole nother conversation. Racism in our industry has existed for a long time where they say, oh, there's no black models that we could find to put in porn and stuff. No, y'all don't want a certain black look in there. Y'all want somebody to look like that queen currently on The Bachelor that y'all could have, doing porn or whatever, or have that up in there. Y'all don't want no thug type or some of the black models who have been trying to get over in the industry and that sort of thing to be making a living and having a career and succeeding in mainstream, which is why, like I said, you don't necessarily need porn anymore. You could basically go and the mainstream porn, you could basically just make your own content through OnlyFans and
Well, hello, welcome back. Yeah, that was a little bit of a taste, but I have the rest of the message, so I'm just going to read that, and then we're going to go right into bringing LeNair in. So it says, when we were talking about the sexual racism in our community through porn, it said he went on to say, however, his models using penile injections is nothing new. For years ago, when Will Clark was hosting his weekly event, Porno Bingo events here in New York City, porn star Alessio Romero was once a great guest caller, but left the event early because he had a shoot with Lucas Entertainment earlier that day, and the injection was hurting him. Will Clark announced this to the crowd at Pieces that night like it was nothing. As if it was expected to come with the territory. As much as I like Will Clark, this troubled me. Add that to what I know personally from interviews with Michael Lucas. From my time in the industry, there is definitely a pattern of behavior from Michael Lucas in which he tries to exhibit control over his model's penis. My situation is why the lines below from my poem, Lights, Camera, Now Fuck, are actually more so about Michael Lucas. Needless to say, with my story, I got off easy. And that's basically, you can see at the bottom with the photo, it says, well, this is my ass, my dick. They're not your dogs. I'm done making them do tricks, so lose the brain fog. And that just goes to show that when, yes, I do adult films, but my body isn't my body at the end of the day. Yeah, I'm doing what I need to do on camera for a check, and I'm performing and I'm being an artist. But at the same time, it's like, you don't own me. Like, it just seems like there's a master slave type of situation that goes on when it comes to Michael Lucas and a lot of his models. And there's been a lot of models over the years that has complained about Michael and some of the shit that he does behind the scenes. But nevertheless, that's why I said this is an important topic, that I wanted to bring someone in who was in the industry and getting it from a different perspective, because we know, like, a lot of adult film stars do not like to talk about what's going on with them in the industry and a lot of the stuff that they have to deal with or endure from a lot of these studios, where you have a lot of these powerful people who treat them no different than the Harvey Weinsteins were treating a lot of actors coming up. And there's a lot of that in porn as well. So without further ado, because I feel like I've dressed this up a long enough, I'm, a little foreplay. I'm just giving y'all, now it's time to, get to a little bit of the climax. Let's get to like the penetration part of the interview. So without further ado, I just wanted to bring in former porn star turned sex blogger, the one and only Mr. LeNair Xavier.
Hello.
Hi. Oh, yes. Welcome. High production. Wait, where am I at? I hear myself, but I don't see me. So, I guess EJ was going to work on that in a second. So, just wanted to say thank you once again for doing this interview, or agreeing to this interview, because after I saw your post, I was like, wait a minute, why don't I just hit him up and ask him? The worst they could say is no, thank you. You said yes, but because I feel like you were the perfect person that I could hit up and basically get as much insight into, because I know you've had a lot of experiences in the adult film industry, and I've read a lot of stuff that you've stated through your your blog and your posts in regards of like situations you've had in the industry. And I just love when people are willing to speak out when they need to. So once again, thank you for doing this interview.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, so first things first. How are you? Before we get
I'm
started.
doing well. I'm
Okay,
doing well.
so
How about you?
I'm sorry. So let everybody know a little bit about yourself, where you're born and raised, how long you've been in New York, and all that good stuff before we get to the meat and potatoes.
Oh, well, I am a native New Yorker, born and raised in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. Um, I entered the porn industry in like 2005 when I was 34 years old, which is considered quite old for the porn industry. I did it for like about three years. I officially announced my retirement in 2009. Since then, I've gotten into a variety of things. I've done poetry was my way of trying to get over, the issues that I've dealt with there. But from there, it just evolved into me doing more erotic modeling. And I still kept doing more erotic poetry instead of social commentary within the industry. So that's what I kind of do now. And now I'm a sex blogger where I write my own blog, L's X-Ray Vision. I also write the column X-Ray Sex for Thodacy, which is a gay nightlife blog here in New York. And I also occasionally guest blog for the sex toy company Kiru.
Okay. I think I forgot that you started that you were writing for Thodacy. But yes, Thodacy is a well-known nightlife blog in New York, in case anybody was wondering. And I also want to know, so what made you, because you talked about you were in the porn industry for 3 years and then you announced your retirement. How many movies did you do? And before that, what made you want to get into adult films?
I did only 8 movies. Some people, whenever I tell them that, they say, "Oh, that's a lot," but I don't think it is. I would probably say it was a lot for my age and my color. Um, but I did, yeah, 8 movies and 10 scenes total. Because a couple of movies had me in two scenes. What made me want to get into it? I've always had like a lot of people. I've always had an interest in it. And I guess it was like the next step in my coming out process since I did come out late. I didn't come out till I was about to turn 31 years old, and I was a total virgin before that. And then when I finally, it just got to a point where the curiosity of it, I'm the type of person that when I get curious about something, if I can, I throw myself fully in it as long as I know that there is an exit door that I can go to. So that's kind of why I, got into it. Because I really wanted, and also I kind of wanted to, in a way, because did realize, standing on the outside looking in, I noticed that a lot of things within that we see in porn is what we do amongst each other in the gay community. And even for myself, my thought when I got in it was that before I got in it was that I was looking at a bunch of gay males comfortable with their sexuality to this point of being exhibitionists. Although once I got in it, that's a totally different story, but we can get to that later.
Mhm.
But yeah, I started so I felt like I wanted to, like, in a way, pay it forward so that I would, and that was when social media and porn industry were kind of starting to intertwine a little. So my thought was to use that as a means for someone who might be in my position of grappling with their orientation to see me and know a little of my backstory, and that they'll feel comfortable, not necessarily to go do porn once they come out, but at least feel comfortable and see that they are seeing someone who is comfortable within their sexual orientation.
Exactly, but I'm still gagging over the fact that you said you were a virgin before you started doing porn, and you came out late in life. Like, I get late bloomers, but I came out when I was like, well, I pretty much was sucking dick since I was like 13. I know this little or whatever, but I didn't fully come out as my true gay self until I was probably like, what? I think the standard is like 17, 18, that sort of thing. But like I met, like the first time I came across someone who was gay that I could relate to, I was like 12 or 13, and he became like my best friend, and then kind of ushered in this thing of fooling around with boys and all other stuff and that sort of thing. But so you didn't have sex with a guy until you started doing adult films?
No, I came out at about when I about turned 31. So I had sex with guys by then. So yeah, for 31. So I was only sexually active for 3 years before I did porn.
Okay. And did your family and friends know that you were doing it? And if so, what did they think when they saw that you were doing? Well, we should let when your porn name was Trey Javier at one point, right?
Trey Xavier. It's the same spelling. It's the same spelling. It's just a different. The
American Trey Xavier.
Xavier. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm using the name I'm using now is the last name is the Spanish pronunciation of that name.
And was there an exclusive company that you did adult films for, or was it just you just did a multitude of you just did movies for a multitude of companies?
I did movies for different companies. I was never able to become exclusive, mainly because of, like I said, the racism in the industry. And I mean, I tried to at the time try to get myself into various agencies that were, that were representing porn actors, and I always got an excuse, like from Fab Scout claiming, "Oh, we're doing a restructuring, yada yada yada." But you go on their website, and there are no black porn actors there at all. I think I saw at the time the only porn actor they had listed there was Diesel Washington, but they had pages of people, but that was the only blackface you saw.
Speaking of Diesel Washington, since you opened that Pandora's box, I remember. You know where I'm going. So once upon a time, apparently you did clap. Well, you threw some shade in his direction, some valid shade in regards of, I guess, because he was in the same situation where, well, there was something I wanted to bring up about Race Cooper as well. I'll get to that in a second. But since you brought up the whole Diesel Washington thing, Diesel has gone on social media and in the press and at a lot of the Gay Vienna Awards and stuff, and has complained many a times about racism in porn and that sort of things. Basically the same things we're all talking about. But I remember you went and brought up the fact that he's kind of played into the perpetuation of Black stereotypes, meaning the whole thug role that he's played in a lot of these mainstream white adult films. So I wanted to basically get your opinion on that. Well, you can let people know like how it all, basically to set it all up, and then your thoughts and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, at one point we met in person, and I mean, he seemed cool, all right, but at the same time, I felt, yeah, he was playing that same role that you kept seeing for decades of a black porn actor. He was this big guy who, gym body and bald and dark skin. So, I mean, that's the mold that they seem to make of black males in gay porn, where they're featured with white and light skinned Latino porn actors. And so I kind of felt like basically like, how can you, talk about the racism in the industry when you play this image repeatedly over and over and over again, and you're still playing it no matter what. You're not losing any, you're not losing anything in the process. You're not putting your necessarily putting your career on the line like I say I was, because that's kind of what I did. I was in the middle of trying to climb up the ladder, and I still came forward in spite of that, because when I got in it, I told myself that, if this ends, for whatever reason, then it's going to end. But you know, he still wanted to play into that image. So it's like people can't take you seriously if you're being a hypocrite. You know, like I said, you're playing into the stereotype, but at the same time you're claiming, why can't I play this? So why can't I play that? Well, then make that demand of not playing that, and maybe we'll take your point more seriously.
I totally agree with that. It's like you can't start out a certain way, perpetuating a certain image and a certain thing, and then you're like, well, yeah, the thug role, you were willing to play the game to get through the door, and now, of course, they're not going to take you serious because that's all they want to catch you as. It's the same thing in Hollywood films. You start out one way, you do something long enough, that's all they see you as, and then you're trying to make a change, and they don't want to allow it. But one of the things I was thinking about because I saw that. Race Cooper did an interview. I think it was like I think maybe spring summer of last year with Pink News, and he basically opened up about what he had to go through being an exclusive for Raging Stallion, and he says that in 2010, I became the only full-time Black person who worked as an employee and was the only Black exclusive contract on their roster. There was systemic racism at the company. The question of, is there anyone that you wouldn't like to work with, was asked of all models and tracked with the encouragement from producers and directors to be honest and specific. Cooper also alleged that models were allowed to racially profile their co-stars based on race and says he was paid significantly less based on the color of his skin. So, you know, Black men being fetishized and that sort of thing. I wanted to know, was that something that, even though you said you weren't exclusive, but a scene is a scene is a scene. Is this something that you experienced as well when in the short period that you were doing adult films?
Well, definitely. I didn't get a chance to work for many big name companies. I got more so because of the racism. I got more exiled to ethnic porn because if you notice, a lot of the big name gay porn companies at that time, especially, they were you know, when they featured a Black model. Like I said before, it was always a gym bod. He was usually tall and usually bald. I've never been bald. I have a okay physique, and I'm only 5'6". So and I would, even though I'm versatile in real life, I was marketing myself in the industry as a bottom because of the lack of Black bottoms that you saw in those movies. So I never got a chance to do any of that. So, but the thing is, in ethnic porn, the pay scale was significantly less than for like someone who's working for the big name studios.
Oh, so the ethnic porn, you made a lot less money than if you were to do it for a mainstream porn company?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And just so you know how much fetishizing there is with ethnic porn companies, what a lot of people that probably don't realize is that a lot of ethnic porn companies are owned by white males.
That is a fact. I've heard that tea. What you're saying, but yeah, I agree with that. Is that not a lot of people do know that a lot of these porn companies, like even when you looked at plate companies, and we don't think much of it either. And it's funny how like now we're thinking more of it. But what was it? Latino Fan Club was owned by a white man. I know. What was the other one with oh my god,
Flavor Works.
Well, Flavorworks I know was another one of them, but no, I was thinking Enrique Cruz. Well, that was owned specifically by a Latin male. You know, he no longer does porn. He's now into comedy and those other stuff. Video. Yeah, so yeah, Big City Video. A lot of these companies are owned by white men, and we don't realize we get off on the thug racial stuff, but then you don't realize who is the one who's actually creating the content until we look back at it. But then there was some time we look at it as like, God, these movies are awful. But it is what it is. But yeah, so we actually have a clip of Race talking about racism within the porn industry. So we're gonna jump to that, and then we come right back with more of this interview with the one and only LeNair Xavier. So let's roll that clip.
feel?
At the time, it was just kind of it was really troubling because it was me having to kind of assess, okay, I'm in this situation now where I work for this company. I can see that this is a racist practice helping to foster a racist environment, and especially putting preferential treatment to white actors over Black or Asian actors. What can I do with that so that I don't rock the boat too much that I get fired? I need to let them know that this is not okay. In the years that I worked there, I think I brought it up maybe like 8 or 10 times with various people at all degrees, president of the company through relations, and directors. Like, this question that's there, it really shouldn't be on there. Like, really shouldn't. And the explanation would always be given is that, well, we have to make sure that the preference of the model is okay. I'm like, yeah, but you could get non-racist models and make them work more. So, hey, like,
yeah.
Hello. That was actually the first time I saw that clip, by the way. And yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was the first time I saw that clip. And shout out to Rafe Cooper, who was giving us a little bit of his experience of working in the adult industry. I wanted to see if you could piggyback off of that, and I wanted to hear, because I know you are someone has been, but still is very outspoken when it comes to racial tropes, sexual fetishization. I was like trying to say that really good so I don't get tongue tied. You know how you get when you say like it is what it is, but whatever. And I want to see if we can get your experience on that. Like, were you able to? Because I'm sure that you've been on a set and you've had to endure a lot of racial tropes or some things you weren't necessarily comfortable with having to do on a set. Did you ever voice your opinion, and did you have to try to find a balance so that way you wouldn't have to go exactly what race did, which is, oh, I have a problem with this, but you don't want to say it in a way that's going to cause you to lose your job?
Well, when something went wrong, like actually on the set that I didn't feel comfortable with, the thing I've always said is that when you're in your late teens to early 20s, you have an eagerness to please your superiors, and so that, which is probably why they prey, like just about any industry. That's why they prey on the younger generation for that purpose, because that's who they can make, be their marionette puppet. But the thing is, for me, even though, like I said, I came into the industry when I was 34. So what hindsight being 2020, what I see of myself, which is why I get annoyed by my old self, is that I kind of reverted back to that mindset when I first entered the industry. And I would do just about anything that I was told to do, even if I didn't necessarily feel too comfortable with it. And as far as voicing about not being comfortable with something, I think it was after the fact is when I started doing things, like when I started blogging about everything. That was my therapy, I guess, to not have that thing weighing on me, that I allowed myself to be put in that situation, and to, in a way, kind of forgive myself for it, because I think that's part of what troubles so many porn actors when they do that kind of thing to themselves. It can be a bit of a traumatic experience that weighs on them. So that's probably why I started doing all the blogging. And like I said before, I knew that I was putting myself at risk of not getting to that next level that I was going to. But at the same time, I said, well, if that's going to be the cost of this, it's porn. I'm not going to make it that damn important. As much as I would like to get to a certain level, I'm not going to allow this to make me lessen my self-worth in the process.
Absolutely. Speaking of self-worth, do you think a lot of people tend to get into the adult industry for the wrong reasons?
Oh, definitely. Even myself, I mean, part of why I did it, looking back on it, I always think about that very first time I was on a porn set. Was for a movie called Oh Boy Escorts 2. I had a black scene partner, and
What
but the
company
thing
was
is,
that, by the way?
Oh, Tyson Kane Videos. It's he is a black producer who I've said many things about over the years. Because one of the things he tries to emulate a lot of what the white porn producers do, and including their fuckery. But I will say at the end of my scene, I look back at how I felt, and even in that moment, I can still remember the fact that I felt this, like, my sense of my self-assurance in my orientation was validated by the fact that now it's on camera. It was kind of in a way of flipping a bird to all the anti-gay rhetoric that come from between my upbringing and in various environments, like work environments and all that stuff. The fact that it was now on video for all the world to see, and it's never going to go away, it was like a big flip, a big flip of the bird to all of that. So it felt like it was my sexual orientation was now validated because of that documentation, which is why I always refer to it. Other people do it as a desperation for validation, because porn producers prey on that on a lot of porn.
Absolutely. Speaking of fuckery, let's get into your experience with the one and only Michael Lucas, who, excuse me, quiet as it's kept, doesn't have the best reputation in this industry. I am surprised there are people still making movies with him, knowing his reputation and all the things we've heard over the years. And he hates a lot of the bloggers who put his tea out in the streets. I met him once in passing. No comment. But other than that, I wanted to get because I know you've had a lot to say about him and this sort of thing. And especially with, I know, like, the Geordie Jackson story hit a nerve, and there's been so many people, like Boomer Banks retweeted the post, not your post, but basically the post on the whole Geordie Jackson story. I saw that, oh my God, what's his name? Devin Franco. Thank God I had the post open, because I'd be forgetting names. But Devin Franco basically spoke out, was like, if you need somebody, I got you. Like, I got your back in this whole situation. So there are porn stars, even though I remember you saying that, it's a lot of people don't feel comfortable coming out and speaking out, but there are some porn stars who are just open to being like, you know what? I'm not going to keep this a secret. Like, if you need somebody to back you up, I'm here for you. So I just want to know a little bit about some of the bad experiences you had to endure dealing with Mr. Michael Lucas.
Oh, well, let me start with the last time I saw him. Was at Folsom Street East one year when he was selling his DVDs. And because it made me think about when you said about how he doesn't like bloggers who speak bad of him, like myself, because he was, like a lot of vendors or whatever, he's selling his DVDs, and they were, I forgot how much they were at first, but then, and he wasn't there for most of the day. But then by the time I was still walking around, and he greatly discounted the DVDs, and so I decided to go over the table and pick up a few. And he happened to be right there.
Nobody was buying them.
Did
he discount them because nobody was buying them?
You know what? A lot of porn producers do that at these at events. I mean, even back when they had the Gay Erotic Expo, they did the same thing. Yeah. So he's standing there while I was choosing him, and he came up to me. I forgot what he said beforehand, but I know at one point when I was starting to make ready to make a purchase, he was like, yes, give him another one. Maybe he'll stop saying mean things about me. And we had an email exchange afterwards. And what I refer, he said, one of the things he said to me, he's like, I'm surprised with all the way you feel about me that you would, even buy anything, any of my videos. And I replied back and said, yeah, well, you may recall, when I announced that I was retiring from the industry, I said that I might not be making movies, but I will still be watching. So my purchases were actually nothing more than research. Hence why I waited till you greatly discounted your movies, because I was not paying the price.
Yeah, because back in the day, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I never bought a Michael Lucas movie. I mean, there's a lot of great production that goes on in those films. This is back in the day, when he had I forget which one he had, but he had Amanda Lepore and all of them up in there. She wasn't doing porn. It was just a guest, whatever. I think it was like a crowd scene or whatever. But there's been some great production there, but it's just like, for me, when the reputation starts to precede the product, it turns me off from the work that the person does. And hearing so many stories over the years about, things that he's done behind the scenes, and the whole story about, it's coming out now, but it's a known fact that a lot of models tend to use Trimix when they're shooting, because they need to maintain an erection for a long period of time. But what did you think of Geordie talking about how he was mixing Trimix with phenylephrine, which and he says that when he would overdo it, because of course he is not a prescribed doctor, he would get on the phone with a prescribed doctor, and we already know about doctors in the industry who will take your money and not take your health into consideration. We've seen it with Michael Jackson, we've seen it with Whitney Houston, we've seen it with so many of these main celebrities who get caught up in prescription drugs, and then they wind up dying because it's always about the prescription. So what did you think about Geordie putting that out there, and now that there are a lot of models who are willing to speak about the drugs that people are using just to keep the illusion of getting us off?
Well, I applaud Geordie for coming forward with it. What I'm kind of a little suspicious about is not Geordie, but people who are gathering around him, because it's another one of the triggering moments for me, because when I was writing about racism in the industry and stuff like that, I had porn actors coming up to me in private all the time saying, I like your blog, you tell the truth about what's going on, yada, yada, yada. But when I get attacked on these porn blogs by people like Zachary Sire, who does straight up gay porn now, when I got, for talking about racism, it's like crickets. They're nowhere to be found. And another thing that I've found out is that usually when porn actors call themselves coming forward on an issue, it's only because they've gotten themselves to the point where if there's a backlash, they're not going to be too concerned if it means less work for them. So it goes back to it reaffirms the stigma about how they're all in it for themselves. Because if this happened at the beginning of some of these people who call themselves coming forward, if this happened in the beginning of their careers, they would not be so ready to rally around Geordie Jackson.
Okay, so now I want to be a little nosy since you brought it up. You want to name some of them people that came up to you in private?
Too many to name, actually, because I've got
I can't stand a hypocrite.
Yeah, too many names rolling around in my head because I've met so many porn actors over the years who have known my work. So that I've never worked with, but they will tell me that all the time, and that's why it just gets so frustrating to see that kind of thing. But while it's frustrating, I'm not letting it weigh too much, because that's why I try to live by a credo that was on a mug my late grandmother had that said, "Don't let the bastards wear you down."
I heard that. So, do you think that porn gives gay men an unrealistic view of sex. Because one of the things I feel like that needs to be addressed, that I think a lot of people tend to watch adult films and they learn how to have sex that way. I mean, that's how I learn from like watching adult films. But then as you get older, you learn to sort of be more attentive to people and knowing what it is that they like and what they don't like, because all that bang bang, you know, the bang 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 bang, that's not the you know, that's not the tea for everybody else. So do you think that porn gives gay men an unrealistic view of sex?
Oh, definitely. And that way, if you have evolved to realizing to be more attentive to your partner, you're among a minority, sadly. Because
So I've heard.
I've always said in general that your typical male, gay, straight, or whatever their orientation, does not know how to fuck. Because they keep going by that porn, model of how to approach their person, the other person, or or what to aspire to as the target imagery for a certain, of a certain person, based on their color, based on their age or whatever. That's what they keep going for, and that's why you wind up in the long run with so many miserable old gay males, and in the end it winds up being, sadly, when I get approached by an older gay male, and I wind up turning them down, I'm always kind of thinking, you're coming to me at this point because you had the chance to figure this shit out, but now that your choice of that little bubble that porn taught you has run out, now you find me desirable. So, bitch, no.
Oh yeah, that's the worst. It's sort of like when, people don't want to pay attention to you when you had the chance, and now that all of your options are run out, now I'm like your last resort. So I'll just be like, fuck you, motherfucker. So with that being said, what we're going to do right now, we're going to take a little short gay break. When we come back, I want to ask you about, because I know you've been very vocal about OnlyFans and that sort of thing, so I definitely want to get your opinion on that. And because that's the revolution, that's the future of porn, and I know you've had quite a lot to say about it, so I'm very interested in hearing about that and a whole lot more. So guys, don't go anywhere. Thank you all for watching this episode, by the way. So we're going to be right back with more of my interview with LeNair Xavier. So don't go away. We'll be right back with more on the line.
This gets
She's talking a bit about what happened. If we don't, then I'll continue talking. Like I have the, I'm kind of looking all glamour up in here. I was talking a little bit about it. So she basically said that she had walked past a guy, and the guy very aggressively asked for the time. She's explained the video, and after giving him the time, the man asked girl. And so her friend went and said, "Fuck off! I'm walking. I'm hearing all this, and it's happening like in a split second." And then the guy is attacking my friend. The guy proceeded to punch his friend. She said she pulled out the phone and wondered before she could place the call. The man took off, and the good thing about the whole situation is neither one of them were injured in the situation. But it's weird. What I had heard in the video was that she said that their masks were on, and my thing is, if you're wearing a wig and this, that, and the other, like you're glammed out. I don't know how her hair looked, whatever. You got your locks flowing and you're walking and you're snatched for the gods, and you're just, I don't think that based off somebody's voice or whatever, you could tell if someone is transgender. So you can come with that. So there was a little suspicion there in that story. But I do believe her and everything that's going on. It kind of had me wondering. I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, y'all let me know, because I've never been to Griffith Park. Is Griffith Park sort of a cruising location? Is it a cruising area, like where situations happen and things of that nature, where y'all be out cruising the situation?
Come across from Queer Tea. Oh yes, he got the picture and everything. Shout out to and right on time, which is like his mint. So as I said, Maluma picture comes in. But anyway, so there's a Cuban clairvoyant with over 3.5 million Facebook fans. Her name is Moni Vidente, and she has nearly 900,000 followers on Instagram. So they're saying many believe she has the ability to acutely read minds and predict the future, like Walter Mercado. But if you're a member of the Latino community, you do not throw shade at Walter Mercado. I love Walter Mercado, but I say my little jokes, and it is what it is. So this week she stopped by the Mexican talk show called Aquí Contigo, which in English means here with you, to share her latest psychic. So during the appearance, Moni claimed that Maluma is madly in love with Jennifer Lopez, who he recently collaborated with on The Party and Lonely. I should also point out that they're in a movie together. I think it's called Marry Me, which I had just heard has been delayed to the summer. It was supposed to come out around Valentine's Day, but due to coronavirus and all this other stuff that's going on, we heard that Pfizer has a vaccine that they're pushing through and stocks have gone up and all this other stuff. They're hoping to have something out and then movie theaters be open in the summertime, so that's why they push. Because I don't see movie theaters opening up early next year. I don't. I just see like possibly the summer get back to semi-normal. So she's alleging, says Maluma fell very much in love with Jennifer Lopez, saying that he's drawn to her because she's a 51-year-old woman. Does she remind him of his mother of some sort? J-Lo is that age. Not only that, but Moni claims Lopez is just as into Maluma. In fact, they're having a secret. I really see that they've had a sexual relationship, adding that the pair talks about their deep love for one another, all on the phone and on WhatsApp. Okay, girl. But she didn't stop there. Moni also alleged that in addition to being obsessed with J-Lo, Maluma is also sexually attracted to both men and women. She's bisexual. He is with someone from Colombia who is also who? J Balvin? Put me on. So just to be clear, in addition to allegedly engaging in a secret affair with J-Lo, Maluma is also allegedly hooking up with a male singer from Colombia on the DL. All of this, of course, is complete and utter BS. I'm just going to say that, you know what? I don't know if I believe this story. While I'm entertained by it, while it's cute and all that good stuff, I don't know if this Charo-looking bitch up in here talking about Maluma is into having a secret affair with a Colombian singer from, a singer from Colombia. Who's the Colombian singer? Like, if you out here spilling tea, spill all of it, Miss Clairvoyant. Come on, Oda Mae Brown, spill the tea. Let us know who it is. J-Lo is engaged to A-Rod, and Maluma has said in the past that he's not into guys, and if he were, he would most definitely say so. This is what he said in February. And he also said, the one who said that I'm gay, let me be a girlfriend to see how gay I am. I hate when people say that, because then I look at you and think that, okay, let me show you how gay I am. It just shows like, oh, that's just some typical heterosexual BS that y'all like to say to prove how much of a man you are. And do I believe that Maluma might be a little fluid? Possibly. I mean, he's a looking man. He's a pretty boy. He's a pretty boy, dirty boy. So he is of the boy spectrum. He is a good-looking guy. I could definitely see him getting freaky or being sexually fluid or whatever the case. And if he is, so what? Who cares? Look, Ricky Martin cannot be the only homosexual running around.
Well, hello. Welcome back to On the Line. I'm your host, Kris Avalon. And yes, I am currently interviewing the one and only LeNair Xavier about his time in adult films. Let's bring him back on in. Well, I thought I heard applause in the background. I said, oh, we stepping up production. Oh. I hear the music. Oh, look, we're back. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, we were just playing a little commercial beforehand, so now that we're back. Now a question just popped in my head as I was watching that Maluma video. I was like, oh yes, work off the cuff. So what do you think about straight actors entering gay porn? Do you think that they're actually straight actors who are doing gay porn for the coin, or this is just them using that as a smokescreen to act out their real fantasies, but just using this as a bit of a smokescreen?
I've always said that they're actually some degree of gay, because I personally have always defined myself as a predominantly gay bisexual, and because I've always said I'm a lot more gay than straight, and I feel that a lot of these so-called straight porn actors, they're probably the same. They're probably just the very opposite of that. But they just don't have the vocabulary to put the words together to admit it. Or they don't really want to admit it. They want to stick to that idea to let everyone think that they're straight. And it doesn't help much because of some porn producers who want to have that power trip of thinking, yeah, I threw this money at this straight guy, and now he's taking a dick in his ass, or now he's fucking a guy's ass. They want to have that power trip. So that's why the problem doesn't seem to go anywhere, and that they never actually, get to that point. That straight actor doesn't ever get to that point of realizing, their actual degree of gay, or they never own it for themselves.
So basically, it's in so many ways, it's all about the fantasy and the fact that, as you said, that a lot of these producers and people who run the companies, this is just a way of them saying, "Oh yeah, I got a straight man up in here," and then it also doesn't help that I guess we, the consumer, always fantasize about bagging a so-called straight guy, because then it's like, "Oh yeah, I could put," but who got the time to be sitting up here trying to recruit straight boys? And that plays also into the stereotype of straight people who look at us as a bunch of predators and people, oh yeah, we out here trying to snag a straight boy. It's like, anybody got time for that? Like, I'm not out here trying to recruit people. I am not the military. So I don't have time, to be trying to recruit people to come over on our side and me slide up in you so I can say this is some badge of honor or this is some sort of accomplishment. That's too much work. It's like, if you're cute, if you get down, if you're a member of the Rainbow Coalition, maybe we can sleep together, because you and I both have a little something in common. We're a bit exhibitionistic.
Yes.
And we love and we like sex in group settings. I'm not gonna spill our spots and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I cannot wait until this pandemic is over so I can get back to my whorish ways. But
Oh, also what you were saying before about the straight guys, it also kind of doesn't help the fact that oh my gosh, I'm about to have a brain fart right now.
All right.
No, no, it's just that it kind of gets to me that they never get a chance to own that stuff, because I also have said in the past that it kind of can lead to them becoming violent, because there was one point when they actually where there was all these new gay on the gay news sites, there was all these stories of these gay porn actors winding up, committing violent crimes against someone. And it seemed like each time it wanted to be in a situation where the porn actor was gay for pay. So so I feel that, and I think that, and it made me look back on myself, and that's why I was writing an article about it all them years ago about it, because it made me look back on myself and think back to before my coming out. What was my temper like? And back then I had an extremely short fuse and could like really go off. And once I came out and owned that about myself, I still have a short temper. I'm an Aries, so it's a given. But I have a lot more control over it now than I did before.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing was the fact that with these straight actions, now I remember what exactly my initial point was, that I keep trying. That's why when in my sex blogging, I keep trying to tell people to, instead of this idea of trying to get this straight guy, we have our brains are made to have fantasies for a reason. Instead of trying to be a predator to a straight guy and trying to lure one, just see a guy who says he's straight, go home and have your masturbation fantasy. Use your dildo, use your jerk off toy, whatever. Just use that instead of trying to lure him into your world if he don't want to be there, because he may be there. He may want a little taste of it, but what I would say is that, but why risk the possibility that he wants to keep that a definite secret and cause you harm in that process? Because we don't always know.
Exactly. And I also like the fact that you've been very outspoken in regards of proper sex toy use, that sort of thing. Because I know, like I remember at one point, I know pre-COVID, you were working in a sex shop, and you always talk about these stories of people coming in and thinking that they know exactly what it is that they're looking for and wanting to use on themselves, and they're sort of not educated in that department. I'm all about experimentation, and I feel like that's something that's also missing from sex, is that we've been accustomed to be so ashamed of it that we don't explore our bodies and what we like and what we don't like. And by the time we get to be, as you said, that those guys that just started paying attention to you now because they're sort of put out the pasture, it's pretty much too late. So I guess you and I have kind of been on the same page, where I've been always trying to be an advocate towards sex and sexuality and sexual exploration. And there was a period, like when I was in my late 30s, where I went through, I've always had a hoe phase, but there was always like a full-on hoe phase where it was just like always going out, let me try public sex, let me try group sex, let me try all these different things and see what I was into. And I guess it was the libido, testosterone, something was going on, but it was just me having, and that's the great thing about living in New York too, is that there's such a cesspool of different types of guys that you'll meet. So it all plays into sexual exploration. So I don't know if you want to piggyback off of that.
Oh no, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, definitely. I definitely feel that sexual, because before my working at that sex shop, I really was not into toys at all. My theme for my motto for myself was like the song, "Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby." So, but thank goodness, I will say, thank goodness for that time of being, that time working there and getting into toys, because if that was not the case, what the hell would I have done during this lockdown from COVID? Oh my God.
Exactly.
I would have had no outlet whatsoever. Now, I know if anyone follows me on social media, like on Instagram or anything, although which is the way it's going is about to fuck us over. But I've posted like my dildo or the toys I use anally. I posted a picture of like the barrage of toys I have for that and stroker toys. I'm never bored now.
Well, to be on the safe side, did you put it on Twitter? Because Instagram and Facebook, they could be a little, pun intended, anal when it comes to anything that has to do with sex.
Oh, they are now, yes. That's actually an article I'm working on to address why Instagram mainly is doing that sort of thing. Because I've had a couple of posts where there's not even any nudity on it whatsoever, but just something I write in the caption. Mm-hmm. They want to accuse me of sexual solicitation.
Oh, please. And then meanwhile, Mark Zuckerberg is allowing white supremacist groups to exist on social media and didn't take them down until a lot of people started complaining about it. But, she another hypocrite. But so what do you think about, because, with porn companies becoming obsolete and models becoming a lot smarter, especially during quarantine, where people are trying to find ways of making an income because, a lot of companies are still not open due to this virus and the way a certain idiot president handled it. OnlyFans has become, it was like the biggest trending thing of 2020. Like, it's been around for a long time, but 2020, everybody named mama had a goddamn OnlyFans. I got OnlyFans. I know you got one. What do you think about OnlyFans, the future of OnlyFans? And I know you've also been vocal about performers, and I talked about this a little bit on last week's episode of On the Line as well, with Remy and Lindsay, where we were talking about famous people all of a sudden jumping into OnlyFans and people being disappointed with the content of the people they spend these $15 to $20 on, because some of these white asses kept. I do agree a lot of these sites are overpriced. And the content y'all put on there is trash. I wanted to get your opinion on OnlyFans and people and the whole, how the content that they're putting on there or lack thereof.
Oh, well, I have been pretty vocal about it because that's why, and it's been so crappy. That's why when I usually sample somebody, I usually always wait for them to, when they give that big discount, especially like around the holidays, where they only charging you like for $3 for the month when it's normally like 12 or 15 or 20. Yep. I'll take advantage of that to check them out to see, are they the typical, what's become too often the typical bullshit that is on OnlyFans, where they don't update it very often. And when they do update it, it's something real quick and whatnot. So it's like, so you're making me waste my damn money just to stroke your damn ego. And I ain't got time for that bullshit. That's why I actually made my OnlyFans for free, because I don't know when I'm going to post something. I'll just have a spur of the moment idea to post something, and then I'll post it out there. And I'm also not necessarily thinking that about the quality of it or whatever. It might not be the best quality. So I don't feel it's right for me to charge you like $15 a month, for something. It's, that's not of the best quality. And I'm not posting it that often. And it's something that I could that like you've said in the past, something that's going to eventually wind up on either Twitter or Pornhub if you get a verified account now or whatever. So it's making me waste my damn money. And I think all these performers need to be smart in the way that they present themselves.
And just to piggyback off of that, what do you suggest? Because there's been, this situation is like, okay, now I do have an OnlyFans account, but there's nothing on it. And the only reason why I have one is because you have to have an OnlyFans account if you want to subscribe to other people's OnlyFans. So
Right.
down the road, I'm sure I don't know. I may throw some stuff up there, may not. But what do you think that, I mean, from a marketing standpoint, do you think that models that they need to take in order to gain a big following? Because I know it's got to be a lot of work every day. You have to constantly post content just to keep people interested.
Well, I don't have a lot of followers at all. I don't even have 100 actually. But with it, just like you said, that's why I've actually questioned myself as to whether it's actually worth it, because it just, for me, it just becomes just something else to do, another platform for me to upload my stuff to. And I'm not that invested into doing it, and just doing as much for that, for OnlyFans, that's a lot of damn work between coming up with a catchy caption for your work, uploading it, then you gotta try to email it to all the people and all that stuff. It's a very time consuming. So I'm always wondering, like, where's the real payoff here? Because if you don't have a lot of fans, subscribing to you, and if you do, it winds up making you wonder, like, what lengths are you going to go in order to keep those fans?
Yeah, and I feel like maybe from based off of listening to what you're saying, from what I'm taking from it is like you're pretty much doing it from an exhibitionist standpoint. It's not sort of like, oh, it's financial compensation, and I'm just doing it because it's a job and I'm thinking it's easy money. Because there was an article that came out today in the New York Times. I think I posted it on Facebook, and I retweeted it on Twitter, where they were talking about OnlyFans models who are still struggling to make ends meet, but they were only talking about women. And so I am curious to hear from a male standpoint how a lot of models are doing during this time, where a lot of them are doing movies on, online through OnlyFans, and are they, making money? How much money they're making a month, and are they making ends meet? Because a lot of them ain't Black China, a lot of them aren't Cardi B, a lot of them aren't these people out here who are making money through OnlyFans and have that built-in audience and have people automatically, giving them the financial compensation that they need, even though they don't need it. But it seems like people are putting more money into that than they are into a lot of the Joe Schmoes who are literally just trying to make a living because they're not working. But we're starting to wind down from this interview. And so I want to ask one final question. So where do you see, or where do you hope to see porn go within the next decade, since we are officially in a new decade? 2021 is the official kickoff of the new next decade, not 2020. That's the end for those of you who don't know math, just saying. But 2021 is the official kickoff of the decade. So where do you see porn going within the next 10 years?
Where do I see it going, or what do I hope?
I mean, well, actually, where do you hope to see it go?
What I hope to see it go is that it would be more responsible in taking consideration what the models actually want for themselves, instead of the models portraying this idea of, because I feel a lot of porn is based on a producer or director living vicariously through the models. And I would like it to be more that a porn director's job would be more so just setting up a playground for the porn actors to actually play out their own fantasies, as opposed to playing out the director's fantasies. That would be one thing. And I also would like it to be that porn would evolve to the point where it would become less sex ed. But of course, the problem is that would have to be something that we as a society stop putting this whole taboo on sex and start having discussions with one another and our children so that they don't have to look to porn for that purpose.
Absolutely. I feel like with I hope, like as you stated, that will happen. I feel like in the next 10 years, because of maybe someone who's smart and will take the opportunity to use, as we were talking previously, their OnlyFans or Just for Fans or For My Fans, whatever site that they want to use to make content, will take porn in that direction. Whereas they're acting out their fantasies with another model and creating that kind of content and bring more of an artistic feel to it. Or you can bring in storytelling, and everybody's got their ring lights and everybody's hiring people to do the shots and all this other. So there are people who are putting that creativity in it. So hopefully within the next 10 years, it will follow in that direction. And I mean, it'd be great to see it come from the studios, but the way people are creating content and becoming their own entrepreneurs in so many ways, because, being in lockdown, you had to learn how to get technical and learn how to use a camera and create content in other ways. Hopefully that will happen in the next 10 years. And if studios don't want to become obsolete and fall on the wayside, I feel like they should follow basically the direction in what you're saying. So hopefully that happens. But I don't know, the way shit is running, I just feel a little cynical.
Yeah, we both.
I don't want to be a cynic, but sometimes they just pull us there. So before we go, I want you to let everybody know where they can reach you and all that good stuff, so you can get some new followers.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, you can reach me on Facebook. Just type in that name, LeNair Xavier. You can do a search real easy. I should crop up. You can find me on my main blog, which is, I have not changed the address yet from where it was before, because it still has the same address from when I used to do gay porn. Trades X-Ray Vision, TRESX-rayvision.com. And you can find me on Twitter under LeNair Xavier. My OnlyFans is LeNair Xavier 71, which is my birth year. Let me see what else. That's actually also my Instagram as well. Is LeNair Xavier 71. Okay.
Well, I just want to say thank you, LeNair. So you said your name like 45 times. Thank you, LeNair, for because shameless plug, for doing this with me. And yeah, I learned a lot, and I hope all of you guys learned a lot as well. Thank you all for tuning in. And yes, be sure to follow LeNair at all of his social media platforms. I also have his at the bottom. If you look, you can follow myself and LeNair. I have it on the screen down below, between me down there. So yeah, once again, thank you all for watching. And until yes. Thank you once again for doing this. I'm going to be trying to do more interviews. So this is awesome that you're willing to do this and speak out about your time in the porn industry. Yes. So guys, thank you all for watching. Until then, ciao, darlings.
Bye.
Happy weeks.